One of the highest paid players in all of college football reportedly turned down an extra $2 million to stay right there. Let's talk about what Deman Williams actually turned down, who was probably doing the offering, and why I think that this could have been an even bigger story than Brendan Sorsby and gambling had it gone through as it relates to college football. All that's coming up after the bumper. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If you're into that, consider joining the more than 212,000 subscribers to Adapt and Respond, a college football podcast. You can also catch us on Spotify and Apple if you so choose. This segment, I wanted to talk about quarterbacks. Quarterbacks. We're always going to be talking about them. On3's been ranking the top 10 quarterbacks in each of the Power 4 conferences because, well, it is preseason and it is summer and we're getting through media days so we can get to college football. We're like 49 days away, which is really outstanding news. But as we are wrapping up what we think Texas Tech might be, right, with Big 12 media days, and Joey McGuire saying he didn't anticipate the backlash that came with Texas Tech's full-fledged support behind Brendan Sorsby, despite not just a gambling addiction, but having gambled on his own team 40 times at Indiana. But also what the Big 12 might want to do or might have done with Texas Tech if they try to do that. I think the other part about that that's interesting is until Texas Tech saw the sanctions might lead to them not being able to play in the Big 12 championship, they were going to follow through with this, which is yet another way of people saying, you know, what good are the rules if you can't enforce them? And there was clearly a rule by the NCAA that everybody said they were going to abide by that prevents players from gambling on their sport, period. NCAA went for the permanently ineligible part of this, which also sucks for one other reason. We're talking about a dude in Brendan Sorsby who could have got, we think, another year of eligibility if he was on for the 5-for-5 rule, right? Now, I'm not sure how this would have actually gone over because, you know, first round draft pick and all that. But one of the things that I think is going to be a great consequence of the 5-for-5 rule is how many guys that are fourth year quarterbacks, you know, can get another year, like Jackson Arnold or Devin Dampier or Jalen Rayner, right? These guys could do that, or Deman Williams, who could be a 3-year, 4-year starter at the University of Washington. And I'm on Deman Williams because you'll remember on the same day as the college football playoff semifinal between Miami and Ole Miss, Deman Williams had told everybody he planned to enter the transfer portal. And that was a shock. It was a shock because he had already signed a contract with Washington that was already worth a reported $4 million. And Deman Williams is one of the best quarterbacks in football for me. That's another Kyler Murray. They just got to get him a little bit more help on defense and find a way to replace guys like Denzel Boston on the offense. But Jedd Fisch has been working toward that. One of the reasons that Jedd Fisch was so keen to take the Washington job is he knew he'd have a Deman Williams, which is why you would leave a Noah Fafita, right? And now that you have this and you know that you're a good football team, Washington has every opportunity to make the college football playoff for the first time in the Jedd Fisch era. What you really don't want to have to deal with is quarterback drama. And you thought you had this done because everybody's re-upping their deals. And Deman Williams is always thought to be a guy that was going to be a Husky, just period. And I think when he announced that he was entering the portal, not unlike what Darian Mensah did without actually entering the portal, it rubbed people the wrong way, and it really got people's feelings. His own agent ended up dropping him because he decided to do this without consulting anybody. We've since learned that Jedd Fisch has kind of a TikTok by this. So you listen to the Triple Option podcast with Urban Meyer, with Mark Ingram, with Rob Stone, and you'd see Jedd Fisch come on there. One of the questions that was asked is like, how did you deal with the Deman Williams story? And he said it was actually kind of awkward and surreal at the same time, because he said they had just done the deal, and following a team meeting, Deman hits him up like on the text and says, hey, coach, I think I got to go. And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? Go where? To do what? And he had apparently been offered an extra $2 million on top of his deal to transfer. Now, we know from Pete Thamel's reporting at ESPN that Williams' expected destination was LSU if he had decided to go through with this. But the legal wrangling that would have needed to take place to do all of that was significant. But if anybody would be up for the challenge of doing that, it's LSU, who this year more than any other year said, damn the price. We're getting everybody that our guy thinks he wants. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Deman Williams is a better quarterback than Sam Leavitt. Full stop. Sam Leavitt is good. Sam Leavitt can win you a national championship. Deman Williams can be a 4,000, 1,000 guy that can also win you a national championship and is an eraser of sorts, making plays off platform, plays when they break down. One of these things where I play a lot of EA Sports College Football 27. Glad they backed off of those microtransactions because that was ridiculous. Road to Glory, microtransaction, man, just keep your ultimate team. We'll play Road to CFP. Get out of here. That's the PvP mode that most people want to play anyway. I'm always going to have a quarterback that can move, right? So Washington, Marcel Reed at Texas A&M, John Mateer at Oklahoma, Arch Manning at Texas, Trinidad Chambliss at Ole Miss. These are all quarterbacks with some movement about them, some speed about them, because that's just one more advantage that you have. Nothing like having a 3rd and long and watching somebody just back out into their zone going, okay, I'll let my quarterback run for 12 yards because he's got that kind of speed. Deman Williams can do that to you. And the only team that really looked like they had him dialed up and damned was Ohio State last year. And Ohio State had everybody but Indiana dialed up and damned through, everybody all the way through the regular season, right? Then Indiana, okay. And then absolutely getting rolled by Miami. All right, that happens. But as I'm looking at this and I was wondering, if you're getting paid, let's assume $6 million, because there's an extra $2 million on the $4 million you're getting paid, $6 million to play 1 year of college football, and you might have another year of eligibility. Good grief, man. That's really difficult to turn down. Now, let's assume Deman Williams has a great season. Let's assume that Washington has a great season. Let's go ahead and say they win 10 games. Does he enter the NFL draft, or does he actually just say, I'm not going to just go and re-sign with Washington. I'm going to test the waters and see who else might want me, a la a Texas Tech or some other program that is decided to go the Texas Tech, Ole Miss route, the Ohio State 2024 route of, okay, we're done playing the game of trying to recruit people to the culture. We're going to just money whip them into coming here and then try to build a culture around them. I find that to be truly the way that college football is going. But what would have made Deman Williams' case unprecedented is we'd have seen 2 quarterbacks in the same cycle just skip the transfer portal process because they already know where they're going with their, just not go with the no contact clause and risk getting sued and having to settle that suit, because that's what Duke did with Darian Mensah. And you would hope that's what Cincinnati and Brendan Sorsby are going to do, but Cincinnati wants its $1 million back, right? Because they say he breached the contract. I thought, like many people, right, that this was not going to necessarily work, because what generally happens is you pay people to go away, right? Or you don't want to drag this out because it's not good for anybody. And the last thing you want is to have someone employed working for you that doesn't want to work for you. So it behooves you to try to part amicably. So as we're watching Washington this season, I'm going to be very, very, very focused on the relationship between Deman Williams, Jedd Fisch, and that football team. Because while Jedd Fisch is saying everything is fine, water under the bridge, just a, rough patch that we were going through, I tend to think that those sort of things sting, because I've not yet met a football coach that does not hold a grudge. And I've certainly not met a football fan who does not hold a grudge. We'll see. Deman Williams wins them the national championship? Sure. Bygones are bygones. But if he don't, and they're not any good, could get nasty in a hurry.